You know that feeling, right? Heart pounding, palms are a little sweaty. You're about to ask for something you really, really want. Could be a raise, a better price on a car, a bigger opportunity. Negotiation is just a fundamental part of life, but for most of us, it feels like this huge battle we're probably going to lose. Well, today, we're going to change that.
Does this sound a little too familiar? You finally work up the courage to ask your boss for that raise you absolutely deserve. You lay out your case perfectly, and what do you get? You get this. A warm, friendly pat on the back and a very firm no, all wrapped up in some nice-sounding corporate kindness. It's probably the most common way a negotiation ends before it even gets a chance to start.
No, really, think about it for a second. We get told no all the time. And you know what? More often than not, we just kind of accept it. We walk away feeling a little defeated. But what if you didn't have to?
And that really gets to the core of the issue, doesn't it? Negotiation is this essential life skill, but nobody ever really teaches us how to do it. We get thrown into these high-stakes conversations feeling totally unprepared. So what happens? We either avoid asking for what we deserve in the first place, or we take a bad deal just to make that uncomfortable feeling go away.
This is the big fear, right? That to be a good negotiator, you have to be some kind of aggressive, table-pounding personality. But that's just not true. The truth is you don't need a different personality. You just need a better approach. You need a map for that jungle.
So where do we get this map? Well, we start with a solid, rational system. Something that gives you a sense of control and confidence before you even say a word. This first part is all about doing your homework. According to negotiator Michael Shotsky, the single biggest advantage you get from preparation is a feeling of control. See, when you know your boundaries ahead of time, you're not just stumbling around in the dark hoping things go your way. You actually have a plan.
This is your bedrock, your walkaway point, your absolute non-negotiable bottom line. Defining your LAS is so critical because it protects you from your own emotions in the heat of the moment. It's the thing that stops you from taking a bad deal you'll regret later, just to escape the tension of the conversation.
Okay, now for the other end of your map, your starting point. Your MSP isn't some fantasy number you just pull out of thin air. It's your most optimistic yet, and this is the key word, supportable position. It's the highest ask you can justify with research, with market data, with cold, hard facts. This becomes your confident opening move.
So let's see how this actually works. On the left, you've got the seller. Their absolute bottom line, their LOS, is $200. But their researched opening ask, their MSP, is $400. Now look at the buyer on the right. They might open with an offer of $150, but secretly, they're willing to go all the way up to $300. That's their real limit. So the deal zone is that sweet spot in the middle, right? The overlap between the seller's minimum of $200 and the buyer's max of $300. By starting high at $400, the seller anchors the whole conversation in their favor, making a final deal way closer to $300 much, much more likely.
Okay, but having a map is only half the battle. That rational plan is fantastic, but it's pretty useless if you can't read the terrain in real time. And in any negotiation, the terrain is always human emotion.
And this is the big pivot. For decades, the old school of thought was that negotiation was a game of pure logic. But as former FBI hostage negotiator Chris Voss points out, that's completely backward. We're not robots. We're all driven by our feelings, our fears, and all these unconscious biases.
This Nobel Prize-winning idea is right at the heart of modern negotiation. Every single one of us has these things called cognitive biases that kind of distort how we see the world. A great negotiator doesn't fight this reality. They understand it, and they work with it.
So how do you navigate this emotional landscape? With something called tactical empathy. Now, let's be clear. This isn't about agreeing with the other person or just being nice. It's simpler. It's about understanding their perspective. It's about recognizing their feelings so you can actually influence what happens next. And here are two incredibly simple but seriously powerful tools to do that. First, mirroring. You just repeat the last 1 to 3 words they said. It sounds weird, but it makes the other person feel heard and it encourages them to keep talking. And then there's labeling. You just call out their emotion by saying something like, "It seems like you're hesitant about the budget." It's an amazing way to address the hidden feeling in the room and just diffuse any negativity.
So, tactical empathy gives us the understanding. Now let's look at the specific language we can use to turn that understanding into actual results, the kind of words that can win deals without starting a fight.
This question right here is a game changer from Chris Voss. When your boss says the budget is tied up, instead of arguing, you just calmly and genuinely ask, "How am I supposed to do that?" It's what he calls a calibrated question. It's a way of saying no without being confrontational. You're actually, and very respectfully, inviting them to help you solve your problem.
And this just brilliantly shows the power of subtle language. We often think we want to hear, "You're right," but in reality, that's usually a brush-off. It's a way for someone to get you to go away. The real goal, the breakthrough moment, is getting them to say, "That's right." When you can summarize their position so well that they say, "That's right," it means you have their complete trust. It's a total game changer.
All right, let's put it all together. We've got the rational preparation on one side and the emotional intelligence on the other. How do these two things actually work together?
Here it is, the complete toolkit. Think of it like this. The rational prep, your goal, your walkaway point, your opening ask, that's your map. It tells you where you are and where you want to go. And then the emotional intelligence tools, empathy, mirroring, labeling, those calibrated questions, that's your compass. It's what helps you navigate the tricky human terrain in real time.
And this right here is the key takeaway. These two approaches aren't opposites. They're two halves of the same whole. You absolutely need the map to know your destination and protect yourself, but you also need the compass to skillfully guide the conversation and the relationship so you can actually get there.
Ultimately, this just shifts the entire goal. If negotiation isn't a battle, if it's a process of discovery, then you're not trying to beat an opponent. You're trying to uncover information. What do they really want? What are their fears? What are they not saying? When you approach it this way, it doesn't just make you more effective, it makes the whole thing a lot less scary and, frankly, a whole lot more interesting.